Hi class, I'm going to do a few problems from section 6.2 on WebAssign. This is factoring when a equals 1. This one says factor the trinomial x squared plus 5x plus 4. Basically, the word factor means to rewrite the trinomial as a multiplication problem. So we're really going to unfoil the problem. So I want you to start by drawing two sets of parentheses. Inside each of these parentheses will be a binomial. And we're going to follow this FOIL method but go backwards. And so to get this x squared, both parenthesis sets would need to have the variable x in the first position. And then the easiest way to figure out the number that goes in the second position of each set of parentheses is that those two numbers need to add to positive 5 and multiply to positive 4. So in this case, it would be positive 1 and positive 4, and this would be your final answer. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. I'm going to start by opening up two sets of parentheses. The exponent is the same, so I'm going to start by putting an x in the first position. And then the same pattern, two numbers that add to negative 9, and those same two numbers also can multiply to negative 10. Now, if you're having a hard time with this, always start with your multiplication first. So if something is times negative 10, that could be 2 positive 5, it could be negative 5 and positive 2, it could be negative 1 and 10, or negative 10 and 1. Because the middle term is negative 9x, the larger number needs to be negative, and so negative 10 plus a positive 1 equals negative 9. And so in any order, put negative 9 and positive 1 in the second position, and that's your final answer. Okay, take a look at this trinomial. We're going to work through the same process. This one looks harder because it has a second variable, but I'll show you that it's actually just as easy as before. Okay, still start off with two parentheses. In the first position, we're still going to put the a times a to get the a squared. And then in the second position, we're going to put two b's. So this would be b times b. And then we still need to go back and fill in the numbers that will multiply to negative 27 and add to positive 6. So really only 9 times 3 or 27 times 1 because it's a negative 27. So one of the factors of 27 needs to be negative. But if 9 was negative, that would equal negative 6. And so if we do it the other way around, if the 3 is negative, there's our positive 6. And so we'll put a positive 9 and a negative 3 right in front of the b. It becomes the coefficient of the letter b, and then that's your final answer. Okay, for this one it says factor the trinomial, but it uses the word completely. And just heads up, when the instructions say factor completely, it usually means there's two factoring methods that you have to do in this problem. The first thing I want you to notice is that a does not equal 1, the number in front of the y squared. And so that's the first thing I want you to check. Because it's a 5, let's go ahead and check to see if 5 is the greatest common factor. And we have a coefficient of negative 10, a coefficient of negative 15. All of those numbers are divisible by 5. And so let's divide by a 5 first. Be y squared minus 2y minus 3. And so when we go to set our answer, we'll still put the two sets of parentheses. I want you to put the 5 on the outside of the first parenthesis. That's our GCF, and that does need to be part of the answer. And now we're just factoring this trinomial, so we'll put a y in the first position. Two numbers that multiply to 3 are 3 and 1. It could either be a negative 3 and a positive 1, or a positive 3 and a negative 1. Because we need those same two numbers to add to a negative 2, it has to be the combination negative 3, positive 1. And then in any order, you can write those numbers in the second position, and this is your final answer. Okay, this is another one that says factor completely. The first thing I want you to notice is that the exponents are a lot bigger than what we have talked about in class. And that's actually could be tricky, but that's going to be part of our greatest common factor. And so we can actually factor x squared from each of these first, and then you'll see that it's just a regular trinomial. This will be x squared plus 6x minus 16. Again, for your answer, draw the two parentheses. Don't forget to put the x squared out in front of the first parentheses. So we'll put an x and an x. Now we're just factoring that trinomial. So we have x and x, and now we need two numbers that multiply to 16 but add to positive 6. If you look at this 2 and 8, if the 2 was negative and the 8 was positive, that multiplies to negative 16, but it also adds to positive 6. So in any order, put minus 2 and a positive 8, and that is your final answer. If you have any more questions about this homework assignment, please let me know.